Today we go over the shocking journey of a foreclosed home. Welcome to the Property Preservation Insiders. If you enjoy our show, please give this video a like. YouTube now counts engagement the same as viewers and subscribers. So if you like this video and give it a comment, you help push us out to the rest of the YouTube community. But last week we went over winterizations. You can find out more about winterizations on our school site. You can do that by going to our website. But now we're going to wind the clock back a little and see the entire journey of a foreclosed home. Brian and Mary, where are we getting started today?
Well, this is one of the exciting things that we're able to do is take a property from a pre-foreclosure, foreclosure status all the way through sale. And that's what ultimately is about. Banks do not hold houses. They don't rent houses. They don't really flip houses too much anymore. So this is the journey of a property from day one to the last grass cut. So it'll be an adventure little story that we have. But we did want to take a moment here. We have some comments. We always like to read these comments, good, bad, and the ugly. You guys took the time to write them. We want to respond to them and have a discussion about them because that's the purpose of this entire endeavor that we're doing is building a community, building communication, and building knowledge. So we had a user talk about, says, hello there, my name is Ray. I've been watching a lot of your videos here on YouTube. Thank you, Ray. Always appreciate it. I wanted to connect with you and possibly ask a few questions. We're always here. I'm currently a diesel mechanic, but I feel I've lost interest in my career. My plan is to jump into property preservation, but don't know anyone around me who does it. I like watching your videos because they're very informative. Thank you very much for the compliment. So where I'm getting at is, could you possibly give me some more tips? I have the general understanding that I need. And again, there's a list of everything that he kind of has. I have general hand tools, trailers, skid steer, lawn equipment, generators, etc. I don't want to apply to any companies until I'm 100% sure I'm ready. Any advice or suggestions would really be helpful and appreciated. I feel like everyone on Facebook groups are rude and not really willing to help. Not everyone is on the same region as myself that I live in. He lives in Dallas, Texas. I'm sure there are plenty of work in my area. Thank you very much for taking the time to read my message. I look forward to hearing back from you. Well, Ray, you're hearing back from us. So this is one of those stories that I hear all the time that the information out there is just not enough. It's not organized properly. And that was one of the main drives that, I was kind of speaking with Mary about long time ago in the beginning of this journey is there is no place you can go to say, I want to find out everything about this business. There's no one place. If you want to become a diesel mechanic, they have schools. If you want to become a beautician, they have schools. If you want to become a real estate agent, they have schools and classes. If you want to become an investor, they have schools and classes. But and that was the main driving point, not only to give us a reference point, but give us our quality, our procedures, and our information and knowledge. So basically taking the 15 years that I've been in the industry, download it onto a web page and push it out there and build a community around the same like-minded people that want to do stuff. So, Ray, some good news is that today you'll be getting, today or tomorrow, you will be getting some information, and your information will be sent to one of my good friends. He has a regional down in Texas right now, and he is more than interested, even though you're still green and you don't know what's going on. He says, I'll drive up to Dallas and train the guy myself. So as a community, as being part of what we're doing here, I have arranged not only for work, training, and insight and answering any questions you might have. So that's what we need to do for each other as contractors here in the United States working on American houses. We need to bond together. We need to come together and work together for a common goal, which is our neighbors, our neighborhoods, and also our pockets. That's why we're in business. But Ray, one of those big things is that, it's all about procedures. It's all about knowing photographs, 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 photographs. That's what our business is. It's not so much, how you fix, how you clean a toilet, but it's the pictures of that causes all the issues. Again, you can take 20 pictures of performing something, but you missed one and you don't get paid, or there's issues or drama. So that's the biggest thing. The other big point, again, is we are very close to launching our subscription side of our school system. Now, we're going to have two sides of this. Number one is going to be a training course for the single contractor, the person that just wants to be connected. Again, we're going to have all kinds of modules, excuse me, that are very easily laid out so you can, bring this knowledge forward. If you're confused or lost, if you see it on a work order, go do a clearboarding. Well, how do I do a clearboarding? We will show you. We'll show you what to buy, how to do it, how to make it happen, what photographs you need to take. How do I do this kind of winterization? I've never done one before. We will show you step by step to identify a trash out, which we're going to talk a little bit about today, a sales clean, which we're going to talk a little bit about today, a lock system. We teach you what you need to buy, what you need to have. We give you the discount codes. We tell you where to get your stuff. Now, again, each market is very specific. So you want to make sure that you are carrying the right insurance, you are carrying the right stuff, you're carrying the right business licensing, DOT numbers, making sure, check your local dump facilities, check out your hauling laws, make sure everything is legal. Point of note, a friend of mine told me this. He had a group in Ohio he had to send to New York, almost to Canada. The group in Ohio was not familiar with New York laws, so they were hauling their dump trailer along behind their truck, going to this project, going to this job. But because it didn't stop at a weigh station, and New York considers that person a commercial hauler, that poor gentleman got a $2,000 ticket for being a commercial hauler and not stopping at the weigh station, where in Ohio, it's no big deal. No one thought about it. So again, know your local laws, know your contracting licenses, what you need to be legal. The key thing, and unfortunately, we can't specifically help with that because again, it's every county, every state is different in their laws and stuff. But we do give you the fundamentals of the property preservation business. Now, if you're a regional company or you're a business owner, the other beautiful part with our other side of the school system and our training system is we help train your employees. We help train your subcontractors by getting the service, and we're able to help the regional contractor perform better, especially with contractors or green or new guys coming into the business, because we give them 15 years worth of knowledge in one setting. Tony Robbins said it best that, he wanted to expand his knowledge, but he didn't want to wait 10, 15 years to learn these things. So he read the books. He read books. He wanted to read one book a day. And he would get all the experience that these people had writing this book every day. So if he did this for years, it would be better. That's one of the premises here. If we can take all of the knowledge that I have, all the knowledge that we have, and again, if there's other people out there that have a better way, please share it. We're all about making it better for the next guy, so that way he can perform better, get paid, make a business out of it, provide for his family, provide for employees, but then also, again, the guy that just bought that $400,000 house and saved all of his life to get it doesn't have to look out of his kitchen window and see that disgusting foreclosure home, because the contractor there knows how to write the bids, knows what to bid for, is maintaining the property correctly, and at least it's looking normal. Remember, we only get paid by the banks. We get paid by our regional companies. We do work for our neighborhoods. We do work, and we take pride knowing as we drive by that street, that disgusting, nasty house that we first got into now looks normal, now looks good. That's the purpose. And don't also forget, our job goes deeper than that. Because imagine if this industry didn't exist, where would the banks be? Where would the neighborhoods be? Where would code enforcement be? So again, it goes deeper into thinking about these things and how important and how vital, a little bit unknown, but how this industry really performs in our communities and neighborhoods. But the biggest thing is, Ray, is keep an eye out for the site. There are some informative things, and we'll be reaching out to you directly. And like I say, we're going to get you some actual on-site training. We're going to get you working. The gentleman that I'll be hooking you up with, I've known for over 10 years, a great guy, and is actually excited because he's able to train you correctly and train you right for what you need. So, Ray, that is our gift to you, and welcome to the property preservation industry. We did have another comment on one of our other shorts. Don't let the money leave the country. This is so it says, guess what? Better service comes from more competition. People need to walk to walk. This is very true. Unfortunately, what does that have to do with working for an offshore company? I don't understand. Better service does come from more competition, but the problem is that you have an offshore company here and you have an American-based company here. Both service the same area. This is a small mom and pop shop with 5 contractors in a local state. This is an offshore powerhouse that owns 22 regional companies, and they cover the entire United States. The national is going to talk to this offshore company because they can, because it's easier, because they cover more territory. They don't have to work as hard. The small American-based regional only services a small area. They can get more work done here, less work done here. Money gets shipped overseas. Money stays in our own economies. What is more important? The offshore company will grab work orders. Oh, sure, we can take that. Oh, sure, we can handle that. Sure, we got you taken care of, but they don't have coverage. So the work orders sit and sit and sit and sit and sit and sit and sit until finally they get canceled. No work happens. Nothing performs because the national company trusted the regional to make it happen, and they didn't. The mom and pop U.S. company covers this area. They know they cover this area, so the work they take in that area gets done and gets performed. Money goes offshore, money stays in the United States. So again, the same contractors covering an area are the same contractors covering an area. It doesn't spark or promote competition. It doesn't make things better. And also, it's not like there's 2 restaurants or 2 burger joints in the same town, and one wants to try a different thing to be better to attract more customers. The customers, the work is already there. It's already supplied by the national. So the small American base gets the same work orders as this company does. They compete with each other, sure, but the biggest thing is at the end of the day, how many times have we gone on the message books, on the posting boards and seen, so and so preservation company who has a office out of a single family or out of a small 1-bedroom apartment in the city, and was just formed 2 months ago and now is not paying. How do you get your money back? As a small based regional company, and also with employees, we have a vested interest. We're not paperwork. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, tools, trucks, loans. We just can't close shop and not pay somebody if the job is done properly, of course. But this regional over here, who's just a piece of paper on some state ID, they just close down and call it a day, and they screw the American contractor. Don't believe me? Spend some time on Facebook, spend some time on YouTube, spend some time on some of the messages boards out there, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. So again, if I had a choice, which I do, and we get we get contacted probably 5 to 10 times a day, every day of the week. Come work for us. We have a job in your backyard. Needs work. We reject it. Why? Because I do not want to give an offshore regional foothold in my territory. So we contact the client. Hey, we saw that 555 Main Street is under your control. We're here. We're about 10 miles away from it. We can definitely handle it for you. And then we get the job. But at the end of the day, the money, the profit goes to the local restaurants, goes to paying bills, goes and stays here in this country. And that's one thing too you got to remember is that HUD pays for a lot of this stuff through reimbursement. That's your tax dollars. And I hate to break it to everybody, that's how the industry really goes. HUD, FHA, VA, conventional bank, it all gets reimbursed by government. And it all happened through, the previous crashes. But do you really want your tax dollars funding something somewhere else in the world? Do you want it going over to Bangladesh? Do you want it going over to India? Do you want it to go Germany, Switzerland? I hate to break it to everybody, but that's the way the game is played, and hopefully this makes a change. Hopefully we can inspire some of the companies in the United States that have those national contracts to reach out, to stretch out, to grow, to grab some subcontractors, give them the course, help train them to be the best that they can be, and then make an impact on our US market. So people need to walk, and that's exactly right. But on the same point, do your research and do your training. And that's one of the mission goals, the visions that I had a long time ago when I kind of wanted to start this, because I've been in all of those houses where people needed to walk. I've been through those houses. I have seen the work. I fixed the work. We just did a very large radiator job way outside of my territory. It was a favor for a national because the national was stuck. They hired a contractor who didn't know, unfortunately, what he was doing, but he did it anyway and literally caused tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. We fixed it. So there are better ways to learn how to walk. One of those ways will be, and again, the focus of that is that training matrix. So that way I can download experiences. If you're an old school dog in the business and you've got a better way, please share it. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. And I'll be more than happy to take any kind of constructive criticism if it makes the program better for the contractor in the field, because that's what it's about. So sorry about all that. Went out on a rant, but I wanted to make sure we answered everything. But anyway, Ray, if you're watching, brother, we are coming for you. We are going to have a conversation shortly. I've already lined you up with a training program, and we're going to get in contact. And like I say, welcome to the preservation business. So moving on, let's talk about our river property. Funny thing enough, I was actually just telling Mary this when we had our pre-show show. Back in 2014, I was actually 3 doors up from this house for another property, a flood damage property, getting bids together for a house. So it's always really interesting when you kind of revisit an area. It's like, hey, I've been here before. Oh my goodness, look at that property. I worked on that house. I trashed that house out, and look at it. It's now glorious. It's now great. It brings some satisfaction to you knowing that we took a property from a disgusting, stinky house back through our efforts, through our bids. We took this property to a home. And this is kind of the same thing that's going on right here with this property. So it's kind of one of those journeys that we're going to go through, and we're going to show you from start to finish all about the property. So I've talked enough. Mary, I know you've been chomping at the bit. Go ahead. Knock yourself out.
Okay. So this property, let me go through here. So this property came through as an initial secure. You have a few different kinds of houses. You have pre-foreclosures, you have foreclosures, and then you have REOs. Most of the time, pre-foreclosures and foreclosures, they won't do a lot of your trash outs and stuff until it is actually bank owned. And that's what REO means, real estate owned. That is when the bank owns it 100%. So this This particular house we received in July. July 15th was the initial secure. And then I'm sorry, one second.
So this particular property went up for sheriff's sale at 7/15, July 15th. We got our first order on 7/23. So at that time, the bank had already owned the property through its sheriff's sale. And sheriff's sale is one of the tools that the banks uses to regain ownership of the property. The one which we discussed before was evictions. They also do them at tax sales, which basically is a sheriff's sale. And then the other one is where they actually go to a bank or go to a court and say, Judge, Mr. and Mrs. Smith owe us $100,000. They stopped paying for it. We need a judgment. So they conclude the judgment lien. And at that stage, the sheriff executes the order. And then the bank basically buys it back from themselves. So once that property was received, and once we got the order to do the initial secure, we of course used a software called Regrid, Regrid. Beautiful software. What that basically does is, all of our crews have that, where basically it shows you the property lines. It shows you who owns the property, when it was last transferred, some information. They have a paid service. They have they have a free service. But Regrid is a wonderful tool to use, and is a definite necessity, as it can help you when you cut grass. You go to a new property, you don't know how big the lot is. It'll tell you how big the lot is. It'll break it down, where the property, where the lines are, so that way you're not mowing stuff you shouldn't be. You're not in the neighbor's yard. You're just doing your thing. But also, again, it tells you who owns the property. So when we get an initial secure of any kind, regardless of the situation, we do research on the property. We find out that before we even show up, we find out that the property was listed for sheriff's sale. We find out that the the owners had actually passed away. And that was one of those things on how and why and who and what. So we did our back research. So we show up at the property, and then we start seeing the sheriff signs, the sheriff's sale signs. We check them out. We confirm everything. But again, regardless of the sheriff's sale signs, regardless of the research we did, what we do is this. This is the greatest tool a property preservation technician has, is this. And it's not for hitting, it's for knocking. We talk to the neighbors. We find out the backstories. In fact, actually, across the street from this house was a beautiful, lovely lady. I do believe she was in her early 80s. She's lived in her house forever. It was a beautiful house. Lived right next door to it, and gave us all the backstory, everything that we needed to know. That lady told us, and then again, we went to the other neighbor, and then talked to them. Kind of gave us the whole backstory too, what's going on, what's happening. Then we did our preliminary investigation. We kind of looked in the house, checked for the power. The power was off. The water was off. There were notices there. And again, of course, like I say, you see the sheriff's sale stuff. So that's always good indication. Looked through the windows, and we verified that the property was definitely not occupied. So that gave us the green light to go ahead. And then comes the fun part, is we actually were able to go into the property and deal with the locks. Now, one thing that's very important about any job that we do is, and as I've said this, we do not go to a property for a grass cut. Now, we go perform a grass cut, sure, but I don't care about the grass cuts, because there's no money in a grass cut. But what is there is your bids. Bid, 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 for three reasons. Because number one, that's how you really generate money. Number two, it shows your professionalism to our national clients. And number three, it covers your butt. Because if you do not report damages every time you show up to the property, if you do not bring those things up, some of the nationals use those as leverage points to charge you back. because you didn't report it. It wasn't shown. It's now your fault that the tree is touching the property. You need to go do it for free. I don't like working for free. I like making money. So biggest thing is that when you go to any property, bid, 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 bid. And that's going to be another key critical part of the school where we're going to go through a property. We're going to go through any kind of some of our older properties that we have, and we're going to show you what are the hot tickets to bid, what always gets approvals. You know, you can spend 3 hours bidding for a trash out. That's not going to happen for 3 years. Or you can spend 3 hours and get the shrubs, the hose caps, the dryer cap, the winterization, the toilets. You can get the trim. You can get the gutter cleaning. You can get the debris on the roof, the chimney cap, the moisture in the basement, the dehues, the dampers, or desiccant buckets. There's all kinds of things you can develop when you bid for these things. But the key thing is knowing what to bid. And by doing so, increase your chances for profitability. Now, we have kind of a thing where at the end of the day, I want to try to make $20,000 per property that we go to over its lifetime. Now, granted, it might take 2 years for that property to go through its sequencing, you know, to go through the process from beginning to end. It might take 4 years, depending on the circumstance. Most foreclosures, pre-foreclosure that are abandoned takes about 2 years to do. When you're talking about someone that have passed away, situations like that, it's up to 4 years. But here's just, now we did blur out, of course, the address. We blurred out our client. But those are is that the bids or those are the work orders? Those are the work orders. So those are all the things. Yeah, so those are all the things that we've done to the property, down from trash out, initial secure, final secure, to whatever the circumstance. And again, here's a basic example of some of the stuff that we've been bidding. Some of the stuff we got, some of the stuff we didn't. But at the end of the day, I think we bidded like $15,000 worth of stuff to this property. And if my memory serves right, I think we've made a little over 10 grand on this property through the year that we had it. Because this property, check my notes. Yeah, we got it in 7/23, and then it's sold in September of the next year. So we had it for a little bit more than a year. So you need to go into every property, not complaining about the grass cut that you're making a few bucks on, but what are you going to find? You know, and that's one critical thing too, is that when you're at these properties and you know, hey, I bidded that shrub and that shrub's now cut. I call clients. I call people. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? You know, I see this work's been done. Was I too high on my price? What's the situation? We're just having a civil conversation about why the work is not in my hands, why the money's not in my pockets. And again, that also helps you to your marketplace. But again, it gets into, if those shrubs have been trimmed, I also nitpick them to death because I want to show either A, did the contractor do a great job? Did he clean up all of his clippings, or can I get a yard of debris removal from clippings? Did he not do did the contractor not do the front? I'm going to bid to do the front because again, it's curb appeal, street appeal, keeps it keeps the code enforcement officers off of you. You know, there's little things you can do. But the biggest thing is bid, 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 bid. And another thing, sometimes you got to walk away. That's one thing too, you got to realize with certain clients and certain things, sometimes you have to ask for reassignment. Because if I'm going to that property for a grass cut and I'm taking great pictures, or I'm going there and writing all these bids, but I'm seeing work being done by other people, that client is not interested in giving me any work. So why am I going to perform a service that I'm making a few dollars on? Screw that. I'm just going to walk away from it. You guys have fun. Ciao. I'm moving on to another property. I'm going to move on to another client that will give me the work, can give me the bid approvals, can say, hey, Brian, you know, you bidded $1,000. I got $900. Can you do it for that price? Well, sure. No problem. We can take care of that. There is companies out there that what they'll do is that, you know, they'll send high quality contractors out to take 500 photographs in a clear, well-lit position. They'll write all the bids and do everything else, but then they'll take those same pictures, they'll take those same numbers and try to shuffle it out there to other contractors at 30% of my price or 50% of my price to get it done cheaper so the nationals can keep, or the offshore regionals can keep more money. It happens. That's one of the benefits of owning multiple companies, because I have a lot of companies that are signed up to the same clients. Trick number two. And what this does is we literally will go do a initial secure, go take pictures, and then that same company a day later will start hustling our bids back to us for half the price. So then we know, we just kind of walk away from that property, and they're like, "Oh, what are you talking about? We don't do that." And I send them the email. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you did do that." So if you want the cheapest thing out there, I don't want to work. I don't want to work with this house. If that's your prerogative, is to do that, I'm not interested. And sometimes you just got to learn to walk away. But again, also you build those great relationships with the clients, and they know that, yeah, they could make an extra $200 by sending it out and getting it done cheap, or they can pay you and know it's done right, it's done well. You're not going to have any issues. They're not going to have any chargebacks. They're not going to have any problems from their clients. So they continue to give you work. It works every time. But anyway, so let's get back. So the first thing we do on an initial secure, whether it's REO, pre-foreclosure, post-foreclosure, is a lock change. So the biggest thing with lock changes are front, side, back. Front, side, back. Before, during, and afters. Make sure you get your pictures lined up. So as we're going to go through, so there's the front door, there's the front of the door. We're going to do a picture of the side of the door, and we're going to do a picture. Well, we're missing some photographs in this, but you take a picture of the back of the door. This is one of our action shots, but it's very critical on the next picture that you show front, side, and rear with everything out, everything gone. So you see the holes, you see the daylight through the holes. That is so critical. And then also we want to show there's the locks that we took out. We put them in the kitchen drawers, take pictures of them, show them they're still in sight. And one of the picture that you always take is the lock numbers. That's one of the key critical things, is when you see the boxes, take a picture of that, and it verifies the key number that you're using, both in the deadbolt and the doorknob. And every box has it stamped on there. And then again, once you do your next set of photographs, will be change the doorknobs with the keys in. Front, side, rear, showing all components of the lock has been changed. And then you take, with that picture right there, you see the throw on the deadbolt's been extended, but you see, and again, we've lightened up the pictures just because of, broadcast time, because, taking 1,000 pictures of a bunch of stuff gets kind of old. But remember, front, side, rear. So you do that before, you do a couple actions, and also part of your action is front, side, rear of everything missing. And then your afters are front, side, rear with the keys in. And then you zoom in, you get pictures of your key codes, and you show the deadbolt, show the doorknob. So very simple, very critical. The next thing you move on is we need to have a lockbox on the property, so that way there can be access for other contractors, real estate agents, whatever the bank decides to put in. So again, the standard before picture is just the locks that you did. You want to show, we're messing with the keypad, we're setting the lock code. Now again, of course, we can't show you all the lock codes and things like that, understand. But the basic thing is that when you're done, you see, now we're fiddling with it. That's an action shot showing that we're setting the lock to the proper code. And then the afters will have a bright, get in there. I want to see the whole screen. That's what I always tell people. I want to see the whole screen filled with the lockbox, with the key codes. That way it's undeniable of what it is. Don't zoom in, move in. And that's, by the way, that's tip of the day. Don't zoom in, move in. Trust me. But anyway, once the lockbox is set, we go ahead and we put our keys in the lockbox. We show them in there, and then there's us putting the keys in the lockbox. And then again, we'll close the lockbox. We'll show the key code very close, and then give it a thumbs up that everything is secured and good. And there's the keys in the box, and there we're good to go. So another part of the securing is to make sure that we cover our garages and sheds, because we want the property to be secure. So here, this particular house had a small, standard cheap metal shed, but it needed to be secure because there's property inside of that shed, and we don't want somebody to come in and to mess with that property, one of the neighbors coming in to steal or do anything like that. So we lock it up. If the owners were alive, anything like that, that's why you put the postings up. If the owners come back, that's why you put the postings up. That way they can know who to call and they can get access to get the remaining bits of their stuff out of the house or out of the building. But again, you're showing it before. Here's our during shots of us locking it. You can see how it is clearly unlocked. And then again, we lock everything up. And again, we all know our padlock codes, but it's showing the key code, what we're putting in, and then giving it a thumbs up that we're locked. And then with the key gone and everything gone, we show the after effect that everything is locked up, everything is good to go, everything is taken care of. You can clearly see from the before photograph to the after photograph. Remember, it's the same positioning. The difference is we've installed the padlock. So again, there's no questions whatsoever. And then last but not least, we got to put the keys in the lockbox for the future contractors. Now, one thing I implore everyone that is in the industry, when you do a padlock, hook the keys together. It just makes life so much simpler. They don't fall out. They don't get lost. We make it mandatory. It's just a little convenience factor. Some of the nationals too, they actually require you to have string or a small chain to attach the keys to the lockbox. We just never do that because how are you going to get to the padlock? But anyway, so putting everything together, locking it up, and there you're good to go. So also getting into that, not only sheds, but garage doors. Most work orders will allow you to padlock a garage door. This is critical too, that you unplug and disable the system so that way you don't destroy anything. If the power is on, the homeowner comes back, hits the key fob, the garage door doesn't open up, and then burn the motor up because you put a padlock on the rail. But padlocks, getting that situated. Same thing too. A lot of clients have a basic allowables for like window locks and things like that. So again, pay attention to your work orders and go there with the intent of making some money. So with this particular property, as Mary was kind of touching base with, the sheriff sale happened on July 15th. Our first order to secure the property was 7/23. So it was actually 8 days later. Now, when we did that work order, our job was to go ahead and, number one, secure the property, but report to the bank what we needed to deal with and where everything was. So one of those things, again, is the lock chains, the lockbox, securing the property, locking it down. And then kind of came the final secure. Now, this particular order of the trash out or final secure came on 9/15. So what was the time delay? Well, the bank wanted to make sure that any heirs, any people, owners, whatever, knew everything was happening and give them adequate time to retrieve any personal property. Now, the real estate agent took care of this. We did not, but basically put a posting up on the property that, to all people at such and such property, you have 30 days to remove any personal property, any belongings that you desire to have. After this date, everything will be removed from the house, so on and so forth. So even though the bank owned the piece of real estate, the stuff inside of the house technically belonged to Mr. and Mrs. Smith and their family. So the bank wanted to give adequate time, which, again, they're just avoiding a lawsuit. That's the key thing. And even with evictions, when we do evictions and things like that, you have to take things out of the house and store them and put them in storage, or everything is stored in the house for 30 days. It's personal property law. And that's why, again, remember, when you do the initial secures and like people are dead and or the people moved to California or whatever the reason, none of that stuff belongs to you. It is theft. Theft. Don't care if the bank owns the property. You're not the bank. It's theft. Leave it alone. Because you don't know what's going to happen. We just had a property not too long ago where we did initial secure. Don't know the whole backstory of the property, to be honest with you. These people kind of kept to themselves, didn't get a lot of input from the neighbors. But what basically happened was, they moved out, had a lot of plumbing damage, so on and so forth. It was raining in the kitchen, as I call it, from the upstairs bathroom. But there was personal property there, of course. And, we did our job. We did what we were supposed to do. And then miraculously, like a year and a half later, we get a work order say, hey, remove the lockbox, give the people back the keys and vacate, and we're stopping service. the the gentleman, came back and basically was like, yeah, I want my house back. I've paid everything up. He gets to the house and he's like, yeah, there's too many bad memories. I'm not interested in it. But you never know. I've had properties where, families went to California to take care of elderly parents and came back 2 years later. You know what I mean? And their house was robbed. Their contractors were taking the kitchen cabinets out. They took the furnace out, and these people were getting ready to take the carpets out. And these people were like, does this normally happen? Or like, no. But it took 2 years. 2 years, these people were out and they came back and then settled up with the bank, got their property back, and then all of a sudden, all of their stuff is stolen. The basic fundamentals of the property, the heater, the AC unit, the kitchen cabinets, they're all being stolen out of the property by contractors. If you want the stuff, work harder and go buy it. Who wants people's junk anyway? But then also, when a trash out comes, hey, yeah, technically we're supposed to throw it all away. But you know how it goes. So anyway, bringing up the pictures of the trash out, you can see the different things that we take pictures of. And then again, this is just a small snippet of the photographs that we take for the trash outs. But you can clearly see just the debris, the stuff left over. We do want to target anything such as firearms, weapons, or anything of personal nature. You do want to highlight those in the photographs. Again, remember, I think when we go to any property, we take 500 or 600 pictures of a house, which we will go into later. But this just gives you the snippets of kind of the pictures that we take, showing all the personal property, showing the conditions of the property. Remember, when you go in, it's floor. Every room you go into is floor first. Each wall, ceiling, and then take pictures of what's going on in the property. If you keep that sequence, it'll make your life simpler. Floor, walls, ceiling, what's in the house. Next room, floor, walls, ceiling, what's in the room. So continuing on. So this is basically, these are some of the after shots of everything that we removed. After we removed everything, certain clients will require you to remove the refrigerator, stove. These particular clients did not. They were already taken out by homeowners or somebody. But again, we took all the debris out. We swept everything, got everything clean. We made the house better. Subsequently, we actually found human remains in that house. We found ashes in that house, which was kind of, common, unfortunately. So again, we had to call the local coroner's office, the state police. They came, picked up the remains, and took it out for us and dealt with them. One of the key things is, as you see, these are befores and afters of a trash out. You see the condition of the property, reporting that along with other things. But one of the key things in a trash out is your trailer picks. Your trailer picks is how you get paid, because that distinguishes the volume of what you're removing from the property. Now, getting into this quickly, let's talk about cubic yards, because that's how this industry measures this, as we give Alan a few seconds to get the trailer picks up. But a cubic yard is 3 foot by 3 foot length times width times height. So it's 3 by 3 by 3 divided by 27. So this is our trailer picks. You see our little sign. We have load 1. The first picture was empty. Now we're seeing it a quarter load. And then we'll have another 3/4 load. Normally we try to do a quarter, a half, a 3/4 load. And then we have full. So now we have several pictures. Now, again, you can't see through the steel walls, but we take several pictures showing that it's full. Plus, also, we show the trailer being built. So whether it's a pickup truck, whether it's a dump trailer, whether it's a dumpster, whether it's anything, if you are going to do more than 1 yard, kind of show it being built, especially in this case with the trailer, because you can't see through the walls. So we show the quarter, the halves, the 3/4. We show the development. Here's a load 2 picture. Here's a quarter picture. Here's a half picture. And again, there's a 3/4. It's not rocket science. It doesn't have to be like super precise, but you just want to give the idea that we're building the trailer. We're filling it up. You're seeing all the voids being filled. You're seeing it being filled up. So there's no question about the contents of that trailer. And then again, we take pictures. We take several pictures of it being filled up, as it being full. And then we measure our trailer. Now remember, it's length times width times height divided by 27. So when you take your tape measure out, our particular trailer is 1476, if I remember right. So again, you multiply that out, and now we're measuring at 4 foot because that wasn't a full trailer, that was a half trailer. But again, length times width times height divided by 27. That'll give you your cubic yardage. And again, remember, when you invoice, when you go through and you look at properties, what I always do is I always think of like a washing machine, or I think of like a one cushion chair. So that's like a yard. So if you take a dresser that's a single row of drawers, kind of figure it's about a yard. A mattress is about 2 yards. Your kitchen table is about 2 yards. You just kind of go through and you roughly factor and you keep it on track. One thing that we do, which is very important, we have yellow tape, very bright yellow tape. It's kind of like your blue tape, your painter's tape, which doesn't do any damage. But we label the walls. Room 1, 10 yards debris, mold, hazards. You know, we put a little label on those walls, and then again we're able to kind of work through. Now with this particular property, we didn't do that. It was already REO'd. We know things are going to happen very quickly with that property. But remember, these are the pictures you need. If you're pulling any more than 1 yard, you need to take your measurement photographs. You need to get it set up and organized that way because that's your money. It's not the crap in the house. That's your money right there when it comes to trash out. So whether you're using a big old dump trailer, a dumpster, a pickup truck, it doesn't matter. If you are using anything in that sense, make sure you take your measurements, anything above a yard, to keep yourself situated. So we do have a question. Do you use offshore properties or do you use offshore companies for your bids? I use a American-based company out of Texas for our bid program. They work 24/7. Well, sometimes, but yeah, it's a great company. I've been through processors day and night. I know how to build stuff. I know how to take pictures. I know how to get stuff done. So the biggest thing is that instead of, the owner of the company sitting around or again, paying someone directly hours to stand around sometimes, because again, we don't write bids 24/7. We go in waves. Guy will go out, cut grass. He'll get a bid. He'll get that back needs to be processed. Or again, if we had in-house, we just don't do enough work to fully staff an in-house bid writing service. But we do use, yes, a outside third-party service. Like say they're United States based, they're out of Texas. They charge us per order. So we have a price for grass cuts and snow removals, and we have a price for all of the properties. We pay them every 2 weeks. We find this to be best because, again, when we are running into a slow time or we're running into stuff, or again, we just don't have enough work orders because we did one big work order today. It's difficult to pay someone for a full day's worth of work when we have one job that we did that needs to be processed. So just FYI on that one. But there are many services out there. There are many great companies out there. And also monitor them. We monitor our bid writers all the time. We go back, we check, we look, we critique. Hey, you didn't bid this. Make sure you're bidding this on all of our properties. Hey, no problem. Hey, don't do it this way. Do it this way. And also in the same point, we've had our processors come back. We're like, hey, this company out of Arkansas, we're starting now to bid this for that. We're starting to bid $1,000 for this procedure. Do you want that? Do you want us to do that for you? Yes, please. Let's start upping our bids. Let's start upping our price points. If the clients are paying for it, let's be on board. So that's the other beautiful part too, is that this company works with all kinds of small-based companies across the country. So we get some of the input that we would never receive if we're just working directly for one client. So that's always a big help for us. But make sure you get the right ones. There are a lot of them out there. Do an interview process, watch them like a hawk, because the other problem is that those companies can make or break you. So even though they are performing a service, just like any other company, just like any other employee, you want to make sure that they are representing you properly, whether you're a one-man show or a 50 employee company. You want to make sure they are doing the proper things. Now, I have heard, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I've experienced the good, bad, the ugly. I mean, we had one processing service cost me almost, I don't know, $100,000. if not more. There was a discrepancy. There was an issue. Things did not get done. And technically our client throttled us back. And I lost about $100 and some thousand worth of sales that year because of that processing company. So please make sure you're staying on top of them, just like you do with any other employee. Just make sure you're staying on top of that, making sure that they are bidding things properly. And again, once you build the relationship, it just flows. But the key thing is you got to start it out right. So with this particular property on a final secure, we did our lock change. We secured our property. We removed all the personal debris with the proper work order. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clean the house. Initial sales clean. Initial sales clean also has sales clean refreshes or made refreshes that happen every month. So stay in mind with that. So again, the biggest thing is take all the before photographs after the trash out is done, showing everything, all the debris is gone, everything's good. So now we want to touch every surface into that house. Now, the big thing with initial sales cleans is take your time and do it right. Don't just try to skip through it and say, woohoo, I made some extra money, because it will bite you in the butt on the back end when you're getting paid next to nothing for a made refresh. So make sure you're getting paid more money on the initial. Make sure you're taking the time to get it done properly. So you want to make sure that you dust all the walls, take down all the cobwebs. You want to make sure you touch every ceiling fan. Make sure you touch every vent cover. Okay. Make sure that you are sweeping the floors in all regions. This carpet was so nasty, we actually had to sweep the carpet before we vacuumed it. This particular property had a whole bunch of the mud wasps in it, and they were building nests everywhere. But again, wipe down the windows, clean the windows. Another great thing is use a squeegee. It'll save on paper towels and rags. Another simple little thing, especially when you're cleaning a lot of windows. The little scrubber brush makes things so much easier whenever you are cleaning. Normally, we use like a soap solution, and we just kind of reuse bottles. And again, clean sinks, clean countertops. Make sure you clean the cabinets. Make sure we get all the gunkies off. Make sure you really should be wearing gloves. I'll have a talk with you later. But make sure you touch everything: the shower, the sinks, the cabinetry, the inside of the cabinetry. Make sure you clean the windows, window sills. Make sure you're dusting the fans, the walls, taking down the cobwebs. Here we are, we're vacuuming up some stuff. And here we are also vacuuming our carpets. Make sure you're vacuuming those carpets. One of the big tips that we do is, instead of carrying around a huge generator, we actually have one of the battery packs you can buy very cheaply nowadays. We charge it up, and then it's great for using for a vacuum cleaners to run around. So that way we're not lugging around a big old 800-pound generator for just running a vacuum cleaner with extension cords and everything else. We just take this battery pack. We plug it runs off solar, but you can charge it in your truck, you can charge it in your house. But it's such a great little thing because, number one, it's always available. Keep it charged up. You grab it for some lights, or you grab it for your vacuum cleaner, some small stuff. It really helps out a lot. You don't have extension cords running around, especially when you got a larger job. You got 5-6 people running around. You want to try to also be safe, and extension cords are always not safe, always a trip hazard. But again, touching everything, cleaning everything, getting everything situated and set up. And then the other big thing is your air fresheners. Again, don't go expensive. You can get them, I think they're 35, 45 cents a piece at the national supplies houses. Write the dates on them. Make sure it's very clear. You want to set at least 3 per house, 1 in the kitchen and then the bathrooms, and where there's ever any kind of water. This will keep the house fresh and clean. There we go. So there's our little hockey pucks. And we didn't see the dates, but again, yeah, you want to write the dates. We just flip it over, write the dates, take a picture of all 3 of them, and then we show placing them, and then we'll show them in the afters that they have been placed. And that's one of the key things, too, that whenever you do the made refresh, those always get replaced, and remove the old ones, throw those away. So now we have the house secured. We got the house clean. The house is smelling good. All the debris is gone. So we're building something to present to our clients. We're building something so that way the real estate agent can go ahead and sell that property, and not, we did the best job that we possibly can, because some of these houses are rough, but you always want to do the best job you can. Tip number 2 of the day. Well, I think number 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. When you work with real estate agents in that format, the real estate agent does not connect with the client that you're working for. They have, we all have a client up here. You know what I mean? So the real estate agent works for the same client that your national company does or your regional company does. That real estate company, that real estate agent works for other companies. So if you do a great job, the key thing is that talk to that real estate agent personally. Get a review. Hello, Mr. Smith, Mr. Realtor. We did your property at 555 Main Street. We just wanted to touch base with you, see if you had a chance to review our workmanship. Wanted to see if you were as pleased and happy, see if there's anything better we can do. Constructive criticism, whether it might be good, might be bad, constructive criticism and general comments are okay. It's okay if he said, yeah, the toilet looked really bad. You guys should have done a better job. You get your butt out there and fix that. And you let him know you did that. Why? Because that real estate agent is dealing with many other REO properties that he or she, could be using you on. That real estate agent could have other opportunities where you could charge HUD. So instead of getting paid $20-$30 for a grass cut, you could be getting paid $115 for an acre cut from HUD. You know what I mean? So there are great opportunities of networking when you get into these REO properties. So pay attention to that. And again, real estate agents want the best work possible because they're trying to sell this house that has not been updated, this house that is foreclosed, this house that stinks. They're trying to sell this property. So the better work you do, it helps them out. And trust me, it goes a long way, especially when you have the opportunity to have an interview. You have an opportunity to show that real estate agent what you can do. And trust me, that real estate agent knows people. So if you made his life easier, trust me, it will be rewarded. And same thing goes with your national clients. When you become a pain in their butt, they don't want to deal with you anymore. When you are an asset to them, when you take care of their problems, not for free, but when you take care of their problems and you are reliable and you do the same pictures over and over and over again and you do it well and you do it right and you are engaged, that goes a long way. Trust me, it does. And to know that they're not going to have issues. They're not going to have chargebacks. The work is done properly because you're trained and you're informed. It will go a long way for you. So last week we did talk about wet winterizations. We're going to wrap it up and start talking about dry winterizations. What is the difference?
Hey, Brian, we got a quick comment that I thought was kind of interesting.
Oh, fire away.
It's from SPPLLC. It said they did a winterization, and a week later, the owner wanted them to come back and undo it. Like, when you're doing the working on these properties, not just about the winterization, and the former owner comes, like, how does that work? Like, do you need to respond to them or talk to them, or how do you deal with that?
All right. Well, first off, we don't know the whole situation. Who is the owner? Is the owner the actual owner of the property? Is it you're talking about like a bank being the owner? So that's one thing we need a little more information about. But let's talk about that for a minute. What you're talking about is a de-winterization, which, by the way, we did perform on this property at a later date. So the purpose of a winterization, whether it be wet, dry, or steam, and there's radiant. The purpose of a winterization is to drain all the water out of the system so that way the bank does not need to keep the heat on or keep the power on to keep the house maintained so that way the pipes don't freeze. It is basically damage protection. So when we blow out the system, we also check the system with air pressure to make sure there's no leaks. If there are no leaks, we pass the system, we're good to go. But we do make sure everything is bled out. Every ounce of water is out of that property. And then you refill all the drains and the toilets with propylene glycol, the pink RV antifreeze, which is non-toxic. And the purpose of that is to fill the P-traps and to fill the traps inside of the house or inside of the water unit. So that way sewer gas, either from the sand mound or from the sewer system or from the city sewer system, does not come back up through the house and makes it stink. That's what the antifreeze is for. The antifreeze also will not freeze, so any water that might be in the toilet or might be in those drains have been pushed through or diluted enough that when temperature reaches in the lower areas in the wintertime, those pipes don't freeze also. So the propylene glycol, the pink antifreeze, serves two purposes. Number one, it seals the drain, and number two, it prevents any freeze damage. So a de-winterization is where you're basically coming back into the property, because when this particular property was they were doing inspections because they wanted to sell the house, so they wanted to test the water system, test the plumbing system. So we came back in. The first thing you do on a de-winterization is you repressurize the system. Why? You already did the winterization, Brian. Why would you do it again? Because I don't know what happened. I don't know if over the winter somebody turned the water on and there's damage or there's issues. But what I don't want to have happen is me going down there, snapping off that little tiny zip tie, turning the water on, and next thing you know, I've just flooded the house. I got a cleanup mess. It's a lot easier to pressurize the system, to double check, to make sure the pipes have not frozen, been damaged, or there's any other issues. So once the property kind of passes a pressurization, we turn the water back on slowly. You have to burp the system. You have to relieve the air pressure out of the house. Remember, you have a whole bunch, you have a void. Okay, you have a void. All right, this is now full of air. So when I pour liquid into a sealed container, the water fills up and the air increases in pressure. Okay. So again, there are safety mechanisms on a water heater, on a boiler, the pressure relief valves. We don't want to pop them. We don't want to open them up and cause some more drama. So make sure you turn the water on slowly, and you're going up and to your highest point, and you're opening up a bathroom sink valve. You're allowing the air pressure to bleed out, to push out. And then once you receive water, then you kind of go through and open up all the valves, open up everything, make sure you got good flow. You'll love what comes out of those valves. The nasty disgustingness makes you think. But anyway, then you flush and refill the toilets and flush them and get all the propylene glycol out. The purpose of this, again, is 9 times out of 10 they're doing it for testing purposes. In this particular case, again, don't know all the information, but if the owner of the house ever contacted me, I don't know how he would, how the owner would, because my information is only with the national. If the national contacts me, because I want to get paid, you know what I mean? So if the national contacted me and were like, hey, Brian, I need to go out there and de-winterize the house. Mr. Smith is taking the property back. He needs it de-winterized. No problem. Go take care of it. I would just want to make sure I'm getting paid for the services that I'm providing. And I was not contracted. I have nothing to do with the homeowner in the situation. I work for Company X. Company X works for Bank of America, M&T, and what other investment group. I get paid by Company X. I get paid by the national. So if I'm going to do anything, number one, for my insurance purposes, liability purposes, and everything else, I'm going to do what the nationals need me to do. If the homeowner needs me to do something, you definitely want to make sure you have your contracts in place and make sure everything's situated. And again, how do you know? I have been told countless times, neighbors, people who owned the house, I run into them from time to time, but how do I know that this is what's supposed to happen? What do you mean? The owner comes up, yeah, I'm paying this off tomorrow. I'm coming back in here. You need to change my locks because, the bank changed them and I want these changed when you're there on a grass cut. Well, sorry, you need to talk to them. It's above my pay grade. You know what I mean? So remember who you're working for. But I would, if I went to a foreclosure house and then the owner stopped me and said, hey, you need to do this, I don't work for the owner. I would tell him to call the number and get that situated, because how do you know he's telling the truth? How do you know what's the circumstance? There's a lot going on in that comment. Follow up with it and give us more information. I'll definitely be able to talk more about it. But I don't work for homeowners. I work for the people that we put the paperwork up for. That's what I'm dealing with. If the owner needs it done, I will be more than happy to do it under the right circumstances, and also with a contract. So bear in mind that one. But again, just because if it's like someone walking up to you and is like, hey, do you want to buy my car? Here it is. how do you know it's his car? How do you know what I mean? How do you know it's theirs? How do you know that you're authorized to do this? How do you know that it's okay? You know what I mean? So there's some questions there I would raise. But jumping back into the winterization, we discussed kind of what's the purpose of the winterization. Again, the winterization always happens in stages where, again, you want to hook up your air compressor, hook up your gauge, start pumping out the system, start pushing out the. There's a lovely picture for a Sunday morning, right? You want to make sure you're pushing all the air, all the water out of the system. You want to make sure all your toilets get clean. This is a mandatory thing. If your toilet is so nasty and disgusting that it's just, this toilet wasn't bad, but I mean, we've all seen them. You can bid those items out, but you cannot perform a winterization around the dirty toilet. It's either all or nothing. So either clean the toilet or bid the whole process out and try to get more money. It's a case by case basis. But with this particular one, like I say, we cleaned it out. There's another beautiful thing. We have battery powered vacuums that we utilize. There's a simple fuel transfer pump. Works great. It's cheap. It's simple. No power, no nothing. You know what I mean? We always have those in a winterization bucket just in case battery goes dead. The vacuum cleaner dies. But again, extract all the water. Make sure everything's nice and clean before you touch it with antifreeze, and do the best that you can. Another interesting part is the toilet cleaners. Most people get way too much of a rush. But if you've kind of put some water through the gunk that's in those toilets, and then you just kind of spread the blue gel around and leave it sit for a little while, that stuff takes a lot out. Another thing that we use is oven cleaner. Any trouble spots, but it does work. So with winterization, we want to make sure that you're turning off the power to the water heaters. You want to make sure you're hooking up your system, pressurizing the system. There's our air hose going out. A dry winterization means that it heats with dry air. So this particular was just a hot air furnace. Now, again, when you have radiators and it uses water, then that's a wet system. And again, steam uses steam. Radiant uses, it's like in-floor radiant water heat. Don't get too many of them, but they are around. But basically, you see we have our airline. You see it hooked up to our generator, our air compressor, and the airline. You saw the blue hose going through the house. You saw the blue hose hooked up. So now we're going to begin pressurizing the system. We're going to start pushing the water out of the drains, the toilets, the showers, the sinks, and also our water heater. There's our retractable hose, and we're just going to kind of whip that out. See the hose set up, and we start draining the water heater. We want to push all that water out so that way as they shut the water off, as they shut the power off and shut the heat off, we're not going to have any further damage that's going to complicate the property itself. So there we're turning our main off, and again, we'll zip tie that, get that situated. Make sure you're turning your power off. Again, that water heater, as you saw, was a gas water heater, but there is a furnace. So we just keep it simple. We just turn everything off and move on from it. Now, if the power was on, we would select and go through. This is another important thing. This particular lever style valve, we take the handles off. Why? Because it prevents someone coming in and just, I want to buy this house. I want to see if the water works. Turn the water on because it's just a zip tie, people. It's not concrete. It's not steel. But basically, they'll turn the water on, and next thing you know, the house floods, or, now we have a compromised system, so we have to go back in. So this case in point, we keep it simple. We make it a little more difficult for somebody, and 9 times out of 10, it pays off. There were several companies talking about actually getting like this plastic housing, which covers the round valves, and you basically put a padlock on it. Don't know where that's going. I don't know if they're ever doing that. But again, make it complicated, make it difficult. Like with this particular one, we just run a zip tie through the nut, through the handle, zip tie it down just like that. It's good to go. It's complicated and difficult for people to handle. If we have like a round valve, we'll put 2 or 3 zip ties on it, tighten it down nice. It makes it just difficult. And sometimes, it keeps things easy. Speaking of this, which I'm going to jump off topic here, we just did a property, and this is disturbing. with the prices of house nowadays and everything the way it is, the way it's going on, a lot of investors are buying our foreclosure properties. So you get a lot of these people that go in that have keys. And I always advise people, if I'm in a house and you don't have a purpose, I'm calling the cops. You don't need to be there. That's called breaking and entering. And I don't give a rat's butt whether the house is vacant or not vacant. You do not have business there. Plain and simple, because I don't want to be in a house and some guy who's going to buy it at foreclosure sale because, whatever. I don't need him traipsing through the house, falling through the floor, breaking his ankle, and now I'm at fault, So I've had neighbors walk in on me. I escort them politely out of the property, outside of the door threshold, and then we have a conversation. We don't have a conversation in the house. Investors, people like that, no. You stay outside for my safety and for yours. But anyway, getting back into this is that I literally had a house last week where an investor, someone who's interested in buying the property because it comes up for sheriff sale, I think in like a month, literally came in and cut our padlocks off, went in and turned the water on at the street and then turned the water on in the house. And the utter idiot, didn't even check to look. About 7 of the radiators were busted and literally caused more damage. And then they left the property and put this cheap little master padlock on. So if you see things like that, again, we need to report to our clients. We need to secure our properties. And again, I love calling cops on people because people are stupid. The people, I don't care if you're going to buy, thinking about buying, want to buy, dream about it, whatever else. If I had a nickel for every time I heard somebody say, well, yeah, it's going up for sheriff sale, I'm buying that property, I would not be here. I would be on a beach somewhere in Maui. Every time. Oh, yeah, the neighbor's going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. I'm an investor. How many properties do you have? None. Okay. You know what I mean? But the audacity of these people going in and cutting a lock and breaking into this house just to turn the water on to create an entire, and they literally like left all the windows open on the property. Huh? Who do you think you are? But again, people are brazen and stupid. So, but anyway. So again, if you do see anything like that, definitely call your client. If you find someone that's not supposed to be there, call the cops. Nobody works for the bank. And again, if they say they do, ask them for paperwork, ask them for information. Because again, at the end of the day, you do not want to be liable for someone else breaking and entering in a house because you don't know the method. You don't know what the purpose is. Are they there to steal all the copper? Are they there to steal stuff out of the house? Are they there to be friendly? And next thing you know, turn around and your truck is missing its tools. Always be wary. So again, with this particular property, we went through our lock change, we went through our lock box, we did our trash out, we did our sales clean, and then we did our winterization. With the final secure, we did change the other lock. So now all the locks on the doors are changed to HUD approved codes that the client set forth. On our next show, we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about the process after that. We're going to talk about the maintenance of the property, our grass cuts, our bid requests, all those bids that we kind of looked at the beginning of the program. We're going to revisit those when they come into approvals. So again, we turned a property in an REO status. We turned that into a money generating machine. And we made, once again, a little over $10,000 on that house through the year that we had this. Now, that's good money. Now, what if you had 100 of those houses? What if you had 1,000 of those houses? And that's the key critical thing. Not only are we doing our job as property preservation technicians, we are making money. That's what we're here for. We're feeding our family. We're taking care of our contractors. We're taking care of our subcontractors, but also we're working for our neighbors. We're making that house as nice as we possibly can be. Now, we're not doing stuff for free. I would love to come in and just, renovate these houses and make them all look pretty, but I kind of like making money too. So we're going to go through. We're going to continue to bid the items. We're going to get bid approvals. We're going to kind of go through those over the next program, and we're going to talk about this property from beginning to the sale. And the other cool part is hopefully this property goes back. It's being renovated right now as we speak, but hopefully this property goes up on Zillow or goes up for sale through a real estate agent, and we can actually show you the after flip pictures too, which will be kind of fun. Now, we're not involved in the flip. Our process is done. We haven't been to the property since September of last year. But again, it does bring you good to know that we took a property that looked like was horrible, full of junk, stank, was nasty, and everything else. And we took that property through our processes, through our bids, and we took that property to make it look nice, to be it's less of an eyesore on the neighborhood. It's maintained, it looks good, and now hopefully somebody's turning that property into a home. And they're going to start a new future in that property. They're going to start a new life in that property and raise family, raise kids, and live there for the next 40, 50 years. Who knows? But it does bring joy and satisfaction of a job well done when we're able to do these things. We are sad to always see inventory go, but again, the next week we had 10 more initial secures to do, so we were good. So with that, like I say, stay tuned with this one because we have a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be talking more about in REO property. We're going to be going through a lot of the bids and some of the made refreshes and the de-winterizations. We're going to talk about that too. So it's going to be fun for the next journey for next week's show to kind of go through things. One thing that I also wanted to end up with is talking about our training matrix. This has been a vision of mine to do, because I have been in the field, I have been in the industry, I have seen the sloppy, crappy work that people do. I have seen the work that it's just a little bit more effort was given, it would be okay, it would be good. I see so many people making the same mistakes over and over and again, and I see the same mistakes being made over and over again by different people, and these people aren't getting paid. These people aren't being taken care of. I see people hook up with companies that are out of a one-bedroom apartment in the city somewhere that's just a basic paperwork facade, and you wonder why they don't get paid. That was my mission in this industry, to try to affect a change internally, to, number one, build a community of quality contractors that we can get business from, give business to, make neighborhoods better, make things better, and make our neighborhoods unsightly. To give an opportunity to people like Ray, and Ray, thank you for your comment, but who kind of wants something new in life, and again has heard some of our message, has heard some of the money, and is interested in concluding with it, but needs help getting there. I want to be that position. I want to be that avenue through our training program, through our knowledge that I've acquired over years, to help, number one, sharpen people, make them better, to get more information from people to make us better, and then also to take people like Ray and other contractors who want to get into the business, who want to elevate, who wants to make more money, and show them how to. So again, they can provide better, they can expand their business. Again, joining with us in our business network, we're going to fight, we're going to push to get you work through our clients. So even though, I don't live in Utah, we don't work in Utah, but you do, going through our training program, knowing that you know the knowledge, and that then we can push forward to help get a network established, so that way we can start getting work into those areas. And it's a trusted company. It's a US based company. It's a guy in the industry doing it, getting it done, working with other people like-minded that want to get it done, make a future for themselves in this industry. So again, that's our vision, that's our mission, that's our goal. And there's a lot of exciting things coming up with our school program that it's in the works. It's unveiling shortly. And I hope very soon that we'll be rolling it out, and it will give everyone an opportunity to join our community, and we can effectively be a voice in a voiceless industry right now. And that's our goal. So with that, I will say thank you very much for spending time. We did run over a little bit, and do appreciate all of the comments, all of the likes, all of the interaction, because that's what this is about. That is the vision, to interact with high quality contractors, with high quality people here in the United States to make our industry better with a voice. So, for that, thank you very much for your time.
Now to pick up a little bit for what Brian was saying, this is our school dashboard. Well, the classroom part. Over here is the community. This is totally free to join. You can join. All you have to do is make a user and sign up for the program. The link is on our website at propertypresinsiders.com. But you can join our community, which I post show clips, I post information up here, guides. Like last week, we talked about winterization. I put the guides up here. We have other people talking about different things. The greatest picture of the day here.
Yeah,
But
nothing like that on a Sunday morning.
Under the classroom tab, we have 2 free classes right now. These are, I'm the admin, so you're seeing classes aren't available to everyone. But the 2 free ones here, if you don't have a property preservation business and you want to start, this has everything you need, all kinds of information about businesses, about money, insurance. There's a whole section about insurance. There's some of the videos that we've talked about in the past. You can watch the videos that goes along with some of the information here. So this one is free, and we just started another one for how-tos, and in there we talked about winterization. We're going to be adding different processes. The only difference between the free ones and the paid ones, which we're working on right now, is the free ones have the basic information in it and all the stuff you've seen on the show. The paid ones will be much more in depth, where we recorded separate videos, pictures from actual job sites, downloadable tool list, downloadable checklist, so you could take and print the checklist off, take it to the job site with you. You know what tools to go, you know the process. You have a process list. You could take it with you. If you've never done the job before, you can take it with you to the job site and actually work on it there. So
the whole premise of the school site is to literally download everything up here that I've learned through the trials, from the $100,000 mistakes, dealing with all the stories that I hear from other people, and networking. 15 years worth of work, working for every national client, having 60 contractors running around making millions of dollars. I want to download all of that to this. I want to download everything up here, and also resources from other people, not just myself, into that program. So that way, when Ray wants to start his business in Houston, Texas, he has every tool necessary, what supplies he needs, where to get them from, the discount codes we work out with those suppliers, so that way you gain an extra percentage. We want to make sure the checklist, the paper information, the paperwork you have, so you can literally not do anything, follow the procedures, follow the paperwork, look at the videos, watch the pictures, and see how to do every job you need to do in this industry right there. The other thing, once again, with our business site that we're going to be coming on, where we're going to be networking with direct businesses that want to promote themselves, we will be able to work with the contractors that have already went through our training program, have gotten our certificate of training, who is the small, mom and pop shop kind of guy covering 2 counties in Utah. But John over here, a company in Texas, who is a regional company, has a need in Utah. We want to link these guys together. But we're going to make sure John in Texas is legit. We're going to make sure John in Texas is on point. We don't make sure John in Texas is John in Texas and a high quality person and a high quality company, because we're going to help network these people together. Also, if you're that guy in Utah, you're that guy or lady in Utah, you're that company in Utah, we want to also help you grow your business by, again, reaching out to our clients and fighting for you to get you the work direct from that national client, help you establish that. But then also in time period, again, we're helping you get work from a regional contractor that is based in the United States, where the money's going to stay in the United States. And again, that's our premise. That's our goal. So that way you could sign up to the course, know everything you need to know about this business, the good, bad, and the uglies, how to do it, how to make money, what tricks I've learned, what hustles you need to do, how to cut the corners, what corners to cut, but still do a great job, how to know what to bid for, know how to take your pictures, and know that also you have a question, we are here to answer it. Through our paid service, we're a team because I want to make our industry better and I want your help to do it. I want your information. If you might have, like I say, if you might have a better way to do things, something you've learned over the years, please share it. So that way we all can benefit from it as a whole, as a big industry. The biggest thing is that we get the people that need to be out of the industry, out of the industry. We get the people that are more worried about robbing the houses and stealing the copper. We get them out of the industry. We get them out. We get those people that are in it for the wrong reasons. We need to get them out. We need to get those offshore companies out of our business. And again, a lot of the nationals I talk to like that idea because it's just one of those things that it just causes them headaches when the offshore regional doesn't pay the contractor. Now the contractor's calling the national, being like, "Hey, I need my money. I'm gonna put a lien on the house." American companies, American problems, American real estate. Let's keep the money in-house.
So the school site is live right now. It's been live. Join our community. We are eventually going to have it where we will have some kind of weekly live streams only for members, and that's for the free members. So there's no money right now. All the paid stuff will be in the business networking and the more advanced classes. But if you just want to get started and talk about the property preservation, get information from other people, that's live right now. But we want to thank you for joining us today, even though all the technical problems. Apparently, Mary's computer locked up, and we've had all kinds of problems with TikTok and Rumble. But either way, we've pushed through it. But if you like our show, please subscribe to our channel. And we have more videos like this. We've also posted other videos, clips, and different sections from the show through the week. If you want to find out more about us, you can go to our website at propertypresinsiders.com. Up there is a link to all our socials, the school community, and we have a Facebook group as well. And on the school, like I said, we post all the information. I'll post pictures from this week and several other things. So until next week, hopefully with less technical issues, we will see you then. Have a good week.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow us and share it with your friends. Got questions? Go to our website, propertypresinsiders.com. We'd love to hear from you.